Welcome to this episode of Disrupt Education. I got Lanice Lush.
How you doing?
We are in the Oak Park Library. Thank you so much for coming out. Oh my gosh, this one is a big one for me. Tell us what you're about. What are you doing these days?
Well, I'm always reaching back into my own way of being a student, and that's with young people. And so my thing is right now I'm doing an After School Matters program that is a great program where adults can tap into young people more so than us tapping into them. It's kind of a connective expansion for both people. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's been exciting to be able to get this newness from these new kids that I don't know yet.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about that.
So we met at Oak Park River Forest High School.
Yes.
What's your role there? Because I think you play a really big role with kids there.
Well, I run the tutoring center, so I'm a monitor of the tutoring center, mm-hmm. which is amazing because I get a chance to speak to the whole student, mm-hmm. and they get a chance to leak that out to me. And so for me, I just make sure they come in and use the space, and it's a space for them that's comfortable, mm-hmm. yet relaxing, yet they getting some academic work done at the same time. They sharing themselves with everybody, and so for me, I enjoy it. I call it play.
Yeah.
Come to play.
It's cool because I worked in there a little bit here and there, and students know you when they walk in, and that, you could just like check people in and do your thing, but you get involved. What taught you that? How did you get into that realm of just starting to learn about students and other people? Because that's a special skill.
Well, I think it's because I was a student and no one ever tapped into me.
Yeah.
And so for me, as I took on this journey of education, I saw what was missing from us as adults is that we don't get a chance to kind of know the kid and see who they are before we pull out a book, tell them what they're going to do. And so the more I started doing that, the more I became comfortable with myself of sharing me as well as them sharing themselves. So it became this good space of feel good to be good kind of thing.
Right. And they study like it's a true tutoring center.
Yeah, they do. They come in there and they on a mission. And so for me, every once in a while I have to remind them that they are beings on the planet to enjoy it too, because they forget.
Right. So what does your educational path look like? So you we can go start at high school or even elementary school and then till now.
I've always been good at sports. Mm-hmm. And so that was probably the turn on for me in education because I'm the youngest of three and I was quiet. I was very, very shy. And so for me, I could just play this little thing called basketball, and that began to open me up as a person. And I started like in 4th grade. I was only 4th grade on the 6th grade squad. And so, this, gym teacher, of course, mm-hmm. spot you and, hey, you should play basketball. And I'm like, okay. And so I end up being pretty good. And with that, I was so nervous as a young person playing this sport that I like, and I was better than some of the 6th graders. Mm-hmm. And so that was, to me, I was super shy. So that was kind of tough for me to open up because they were my sister friends' sisters, mm-hmm. older sisters. Right. So they were like, them big girls.
Yeah.
And it was just like me. I'm in charge of them and I'm going to tell them what to do on the court. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that was my open up in the sense of, man, how many kids go through that innocence? It's innocence.
Yeah, right.
But yet at the same time could be undeveloped if we don't tap into it. So for me, I went on to, play junior college ball. I played a little bit of high school ball. Mm-hmm. And high school ball was, you're going to go to this school wants you. And so for me, I went to my local public school. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to leave my friends, and that opened up AAU. So I started expanding myself. Mm-hmm. And so that journey really led me to, getting a scholarship and heading over to Western Illinois in Macomb. And from there, I walked away because I didn't know how to show my emotions. Mm-hmm. And so with that, I was hurting inside, and everybody was celebrating my success as being a student athlete. And I didn't know how to celebrate it. Yeah. And so in that journey, it made me go back to my high school to volunteer and say, I can't let kids not, finish school and enjoy this thing they call, ball. And with that, it led me to tapping into behavior science. Mm-hmm. So when I came back home, I used to go to the high school proviso and volunteer. And I said, I can't let a kid go through what I went through. Wow. I took one for the team, so to speak. Right. And it led me to behavior science. So I started in SPED as a TA. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at these innocent kids hide behind these doors of these titles we give them and We put them into subject and not beings on the planet. And so for me, I got a chance to see them from a different side. Because I was the co-teacher, I had a chance to work with them.
Right.
Really socially, emotionally. And I saw some greatness and I wanted them to see themselves. And so my journey, I think with behavior science started from there. And then I went to charter school.
Yeah.
And when I went to charter school, I ended up doing a dean assistant.
Uh-huh.
You know, principal's like, all right, Lush, you here? What do you want to do? I said, give me the kids you throw away. The ones you throw away. I said, because those are the gems in the building. And so with that, I helped one of the deans create a in-school. And we created it in a way that it wasn't a prison, I call it a school prison.
Yeah, right.
You don't know how to act, so you stay here all day.
Right,
it was
right.
more so of, this is the time for you to tap into yourself and love me.
Wow.
You know, and so for me, that was like, you know what? This room is a room called Know Thyself. And so that's what we did. And it was to the point where kids that were on their way out the door to high school ended up going back in and being a leader in the school. And so with that, I didn't know that was going to happen. But I feel like one of the reasons that it did happen was because them kids showed me what love was.
Yeah.
They taught me how to be open to them. And so with that, we grew together.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was my journey in the charter school, and it led me to Oak Park High School.
So if I were a kid, right, and I had a program like that, and this is something I've always struggled with as a teacher. I was in a couple different programs where, you know, the students were quote unquote behaviorally challenged or whatever. I would want to actually be in that room constantly. How did you manage that? Were there kids who were like, you know what, I'm going to be in school or, you know, your program, so I'm going to get in trouble over here to get into that?
Well, you know what, I had kids say that, Ms. Lush, I learned more from you than I do in the classroom.
Right.
And so what I would do was, I would tell them what was important about that class. Ms. Lush, I ain't gonna do algebra. You're absolutely correct. You may not do that ever again, but that still is a requirement to get through and pass through the steps that's needed in the protocol of what education in high school is. So for me, I think what I do with kids when they try to, you know, escape or they find a reason why they shouldn't do it, or even a new way and they think they have to throw the old way. I think what you do is you take the purpose of what it is and you passing through, so you're not staying there. And so what I would do is I would share with kids, like, you here today, but I don't need you to come back and see me, even though you do learn the stuff about yourself, because you got the answer. Everything you need to know is already within. All I did was help you take off your jacket. And to me, I think that's the biggest thing, is not to deter kids to eliminate things they're experiencing, but understanding why they experience them, but yet you can add some ketchup on your hot dog, you know? And so for me, I think that's the key. I think a lot of times we say, take this, throw this out, keep this, throw this. No, let's look at everything on the table and let's see how we can use everything that's placed on this table, because I feel like there's no accidents. Everything we experience is teaching us and taking us some places, but we have to allow it and recognize that they are there. You know, and I think that is the key. And to me, that's what I would do with young people, because they was doing that with me and they didn't know it. And that's to me the power in it, that each one teach one, and there's no age limit, there's no level. It's just being open and allowing it. And so for me, because I was allowing it and open and vulnerable, just as this young person that got passion and trying to find his guidance, these young people say, hey, Ms. Lush, we got you. And so with that, I told them I had them, they had me as well. And so for me, that was, I think, the process. I didn't know it when I was going through it. But as I reflect back now and say, okay, what did I get from them young people? And what did they give me, you know? And that's what it is.
You went through this transition. Being an athlete was something that really, there was a lot of pressures.
100%.
And even going back to what you just said about when you were young and all of a sudden, like that, a lot of people don't think about that.
That's, you know what? No one does, even parents don't. And so with that, I would say one of the reasons I walked away, because I couldn't share. Because everybody's so proud, and I call it honest fans and fans. And sometimes people don't even know by default that they do it, because our conditions in our society kind of offer these platforms, and so we don't look into the platforms or the basic of it. What we do is just keep doing what it's already been done. We don't change and interrupt, so to speak. And so with that, because we don't do that, we stay the same. And so what happens is it becomes a belief, a tradition that that's just how it is. And to me, I feel like today's generation is like, Miss Lush, that don't make sense.
Right.
They interrupters.
The question.
And so I love it because it makes me expand. They challenge me, and then they challenge the system. Not to be disrespectful,
Right.
but to show another way. And I think that's what's needed on the planet.
Yeah.
Totally, 100%. I think we miss that, and they're here for that reason.
Right.
Not to be me.
Right.
I'm in my shoes. I can't.
Yeah.
And so for me, being open enough to allow that to create itself in whatever system or wherever you at, I think is so key.
So when you build your high school,
Mm-hmm.
what would it look like?
Woo! If I was able to build my high school, first I wouldn't be the one to create it. I would have the people and the young people that's coming to create it. So actually, I would say this is my image. First day of registration, I would have counselors on duty. The parents would be there. And it'd be tables full of different subjects, the core classes, but yet it'd be other classes that kids would want to do. And what they would do was we would put the counselors and the parents in the cafeteria and let the kids sign up to every class they want to first.
Yeah.
And then what we would do after we would let them sign up, then the counselors and the parents would come in and listen to the input. Because see, you have to go with the person that's experiencing it first. You can't do what you think a student's supposed to know without getting their opinion. And so for me, I think we need more of them being able to speak their truth. And then once they speak their truth, we look at the what they got and we line it up that makes sense. So you take your core classes, but you also are tapping into these things. And we have to be open enough to know that a kid could change their mind.
Right.
And they don't get penalized for it.
Yeah.
And so with that, a lot of times I think with academics and education is we don't let them go down them journeys because we're afraid they may have to start over. We start over every time we get up.
Right. We do.
And so with that, that's how this class setting will be. I think in class, the students would teach it, and I'll show you how they'll teach it. You take math, it's a little different because it's technical, so that'll be done a little differently. But say a history class, you take a history class and you have 40 kids and maybe 40 chapters for that whole year, right? And the whole day we'll put on the board where kids will pick what section they want to teach.
Right.
And what they'll do is they will get together with maybe 4 or 5 kids and they will teach the lessons. And they'll break it down. They can use music, they can use video, they can use every form of technology as well as old school way of educating.
Right.
And what they'll do is they will teach us because a teacher will find out if their kids know by what they teach them.
Right.
Because see, since you went to school and you already got it, you can sit back and all you do is guide them. You know, and so for me, I think that will be exciting for young people. I think it'll be exciting for teachers because you use all the savvy technology we have. Plus, we can use some of the old school chalkboard. We can use that too. We don't have to throw it away.
Right.
But what we can do is combine it and mash it up into an alchemy of great creative learning.
That's what I was going to ask you is what does a physical space look like?
Physical space, circles.
Yeah.
Energy, 360 degrees. We have to bounce energy off each other because sitting back to back, I can't vibe.
Right.
I'm seeing the back of your head. I don't even know your face expression. And so for me, we would definitely be in a cipher in a 360 degree. And actually whoever's if it's somebody reading, someone speaking, we'll put them in the middle. You know, I think that because energy. We use it in everything except education.
Yeah.
Basketball arena, it's a circle. Even the cats that sit on the corner, circle.
Right.
When you get in a group, it's a circle. Every sports, even sometimes concerts.
Yeah.
But it's a bounce. It's an energy, and that's a science to it. And so for me, we would definitely kind of focus on the energy vibe of it. Also, let me see, laptops, whatever we need technical. There won't be too many rules. It's just respect. Whoever's speaking, everybody focus on them and open enough that conversation. It wouldn't be questions, but conversations.
Yeah.
You know, it could be in a building like a regular building institution or whatever. I think it'd be nice to be open, glass.
Right.
More of a creation of warm colors. You know, not the stale all white windows.
You know, I'm listening here. I'm going to build this. So we got to build.
I think it's necessary. I think because I think the key thing is we're going back to our hearts, and sometimes we take the heart out of things that we experience, especially with academics and education, because we have certain things we have to hit. We have the number game we have to play in education.
Right.
And so since we have to play the number game in education, sometimes it takes away from the passion and kids' emotions and feelings, how they feel about it. Even if it's like it's a rough day, it's all right. We have an answer for that.
Right.
You know, it's not okay, you're being disrespectful, or you can't do this, or nope, you're changing the energy. Let's play on the fact that you're having a bad day. Who else having a bad day?
Right.
Let's talk about it. What's going on that, instead of saying, no, you're isolating the class, let's participate and anticipate this is what happens on the planet.
You have a book coming out.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, actually, it's called the Book of Proverbs. I had an opportunity to meet Miss Pena Davis, Jan Pena Davis, and she came through the tutoring center and asked to use my computer. And when she asked to use my computer, I said, yes, ma'am, you can use it. And we ended up connecting. And so with that, she'd come and I'll see her at lunch, and we'd sit and talk at lunch. And she's like, did you know what you just said? And I'm like, no, ma'am. She said, you need to write this down. She said, write this down, and you get a journal, and you need to write a book and call it the Book of Proverbs, Surviving the 21st Modern Millennium. And I'm just like, okay. So I went to the bookstore actually in Oak Park and went and grabbed the book, and I would think about it. Oh, I just said something.
Yeah, write it down.
I didn't even know what it meant, even though it was in a journal. And so once I completed it, and I was like, I think I got enough quotes. I ended up separating it and putting 3 subjects or 3 chapters: Immortal I, We the People, and the Jungle. And so the 3, the first one, Immortal I, is always starting with home, self. So there's a bunch of quotes that I think everybody can look at to themselves about it. We the People is, once I get me together locally, understand my passion, my heart, and understand me more, I can help in the community. So we the people. So those quotes kind of let everybody know, hey, we need each other. We need each other, And then the last one is the jungle.
Yeah.
And the jungle is the refocus. And that's us attacking, and not in a way of negativity, but changing and interrupting kind of what systems have already been placed. What beliefs and traditions we have that maybe need to be uprooted to be seeded, to put some new seeds in the ground and water them. And so for me, that's what the jungle is.
Oh, that's fantastic. Can't wait till this comes out. Where can people find you online?
They can find me on www.chicagosoul.com. That's my story. And so what I do is I always put just everything that's happening and what I'm doing in there. Also, you can find me in the gym.
Yeah, right?
In the gym with young people. I want them to play defense. So I'm working on some training this summer with training kids defense. I feel like we're looking at ball now, but we have to know that it's moving because we're constantly moving. And I think we're moving back to defense. And for me, I think young people are still stuck in the Steph Curry.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, but it's the balance. And so with that, I think
only certain people can hit that 3 like that, though. So. And
so that's what it is. It's me in the gym doing that. Otherwise, I'm just locally.
Awesome.
Sitting in somebody's park, reading, relaxing, and trying to expand myself.
Well, we will put your information up. I can't wait. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. A true disruptor of education right here, guys. We'll see you next time on Disrupt Education.